Hello and welcome to our today's webcast for Dynamics HR Management integrated to Dynamics 365 for Project Service Automation. My name is Bernd Lachner and I'm Director of Product Management of Dynamics HR Management. And next to me is sitting Tamer.
Hi.
Hi Tamer.
Hi, Bernd.
So Tamer is our software architect and he took care of this integration, and I'm very happy to have Tamer today here in this session.
Thank you.
So that you can tell us a little bit more about the integration, how it works, and what we did there.
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal here is just to sync the HR management world with the project service automation. So our employees should be utilized as resources in a project as well, and all related stuff to employee should or will be handled from HR management and will be used accordingly in project service automation. So
good. So I guess we go more in detail in this in the upcoming hours.
Yes.
So let's, for everyone who does not know much about Dynamics HR Management, just a quick advertising block. Dynamics HR Management is a full solution for Dynamics for HR management within the Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform. So we cover here all the major area of HR management, everything which you would expect from a full-blown HR solution. You see on the tiles what areas we cover there. And as we got a lot of customer requests regarding the integration to projects, we took care of this right now. And what we look at together today is how our solution now integrates to Microsoft PSA, Microsoft Project or Service Automation. Yeah. So in this slide, you see the Dynamics 365, nowadays called CDS for Apps, at the bottom. So this is the platform where everything is based on. And there is the HR module coming from our end and the Microsoft PSA module next to it. And the data flows back and forth through the Dynamics 365. What data exactly flows back and forth, this is what we are going to show today.
Yes, exactly.
And so we have prepared this summary here for you to get an overview what data we move back and forth. So this is the typical scenarios that we found together with our customers, which might make sense as a starting point. For sure, you can do more integration on your own, no matter if it's customizing or programming. But here you have already a very good starting point then.
Yes, absolutely, that's right. So as you mentioned, Bernd, that as soon as our HR solution is based on Dynamics 365, and we were able to move our data, move our employee data to the project service automation, and the scope of the integration actually is done in a way where you can easily customize it, and you can add some more information to be handled or to be mapped from our HR wallet to the project service automation wallet. So maybe we start with integration points here.
But you mentioned something very important. Most of the thing, or as much as possible of the things that we did here, are fully customizable. Exactly. So this is our primary goal, that we support all our partners and customers, that they are not bound to a fixed integration, but that it's flexible, that everyone can decide how he wants to have it finally on his own end. And that's why everything is customizable based on workflows, plugins, customizations. And for sure, this is all documented. So feel free to access our documentation on the e-learning to learn more about how in detail you can access all these different integration approaches.
Yes, exactly.
One more thing, maybe, before we go into detail. Our core idea is you have an HR management module, and this is why you want to be able to maintain everything which is HR related out of the HR world. Yeah. So the main idea is everything which is HR related stays in the HR module and is no longer maintained by PSA in addition. So to save time and effort there. Yeah. So our primary starting point always for every data management and maintaining records is the HR world.
Exactly.
beside of the project. Project stays in project.
That's right. For example, as you said here, for an employee, we have employment contracts and we can track their working hours and so on. So we are trying to enrich the project service automation with the HR wallet information. So a resource from a type user, or then he can get his own working hours absence management done on HR wallet, and it's easily synced to the project service automation. So you can continually use this resource out of the employee for project bookings and so on. So as you said, that was our goal and starting point.
So I would like to quick summarize here the topics, and then we go into the details. So the first thing that we did is that we wanted to be able to maintain skill and skill grades out of the HR world and transfer everything that is necessary there to the PSA world. The second is that when an employee is entered in the HR world, we want to maintain the bookable resource on the project management side too, so that you don't have to maintain it twice. Especially, for example, then later on the work time model and so on. And when we have this bookable resource on the PSA side, and we have already maintained the skills of an employee, we want that this shows up on the resource then too. Yeah. The same if we have an employee contract in the employee, that we synchronize this to the work time model of the resource, that you don't maintain it twice, especially as you might know that the resource work time calendar of PSA is not that much comfortable to maintain. Yeah. Additionally, leave requests for sure. When a leave request comes in, no matter if this is a holiday or sick leave, you want to maintain such leave requests more sophisticated, then you can do it only in PSA, so with approvals and so on. This is all possible with our standard HR functionality scope. So then as soon as such a leave request is approved, this comes over to the PSA world. Additionally, for example, holidays too. For example, if we have bank holidays that are available for specific resources, these are visible on the bookable resource work time model for sure too. And last but not least, you are enabled to do the time entries within the HR time entry functionality, the time and attendance functionalities. So, and then this is synchronized back to the time entries of the PSA module.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So this is the overview of the scope that we did there with the PSA integration. So now let's look a little bit more into the details.
Yeah, maybe we take the first. We see about the base data preparation, say settings of the HR module, how it will reflect also the same base data in the PSA for the required integration scope as a starting point. So maybe we start with the skill and skill grades in our wallet, and we see how it's mapped to characteristics and rating model and rating values. Yeah.
So we go there for the skills, right?
Yes.
So we have the skills somewhere here. Skills. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So which skills should we take? You prepared something?
Yeah, you can try C# development. So we have a skill here, which is C# development. It's a professional skill, and this skill actually is connected to some sort of skill grades also. And for that skill, we are evaluating the employees. We are evaluating their reviews and targets during their work of their employment. So on this skill here, once this skill is being available as a status reason here, as you can see, so we say that this skill is going to be mapped in PSA. So any skill is going to be created as a base settings in our HR wallet is going to be mapped in PSA wallet too once you move it to available. So
let's look at this.
Yeah, maybe we go here.
We go to the project service automation here.
Yeah, as you see here, we have the C# development. If you just go through inside. So here we have the skill which is originally created from our side, and we can see it's referencing a skill from the HR wallet, having the name and description which is only maintained in our site. So from here you cannot update the fields which is maintained in our HR wallet. But if you have any other PSA related stuff, for example, like requires approval, so you can still maintain it as per your requirements here, but the shared fields or attributes which are related to skill are only handled in the HR wallet.
Mhm.
So
So where do I find the skill grades now here in the
yeah, so maybe we move down to professional models, and here we can see that we have a default rating model. It's created by PSA, and this is the one which is originally created from the so here we can see that professional grades model we have in our HR wallet. We have skill grades, and these skill grades follows a certain type. And based on this type, we are actually creating a rating model. The rating model will have the minimum value based on the minimum value of our skill grades and the maximum as well. And it will start creating a rating values or map a rating values for each skill grade we have in HR wallet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great. So we have on the on our side, on the HR world, we have the skills and the grades.
Yeah.
And on the PSA world, we have the same, but in their language.
Exactly, exactly.
And can we see somewhere where this is used for the C#?
We can check it on one of the resources. So maybe we go to resources. And for example, we check Clark. And we go to, so we can see here that we have a skill level for that resource. We have a skill for that resource. It's required when you try to book him or to make a requirement for a certain resource. So you need at least a professional resource who can achieve a certain task in a project. And actually this record is also synced from HR wallet. So the employee himself already have this skill level in HR wallet, and it's synced to the PSA wallet. So on PSA wallet, you are ready to start using the resource based on his HR history or background.
Okay. So I understand we have a complete synchronization between our skill catalog and the PSA skill characteristics.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
Same for the skill grades. Also, it's mapped from A to Z.
Okay, so then we can manage our complete skills and grades on the HR side, and everything is taken care of in the PSA.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe also we mention here that we have no limitations about creating new characteristics from PSA wallet, because actually you can create a resource from a kind of equipment or stuff like that. So maybe you have a different characteristic and ratings for these kind of resources. So you are still free to manage your PSA wallet same like before, but the skills which is related to employees, which is related to a bookable resource for a kind of employee, it's managed on HR.
Yeah, this is good. So that only for skills that are related to employees, we manage it out of the HR world.
Yes.
If you have different skills or characteristics then for things that are not people, then this can be maintained in PSA. Okay. Additionally.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Perfect. Let's go to the next one. The employee. Okay. So let's have a look at the employee. So here, maybe you can tell us 2-3 words about what are we doing with the employee.
Okay, actually, employee, it's the centralized entity where everything around it is going to be synced to project service automation. So we have an employee, he already have some skill levels, resource skills, which is going to be mapped to resource skills. We are going to create a bookable resource out of the employee. We have to decide what type of bookable resource. So, and we have work hour model. We are mapping it from his absence management, from his employment contract. So this is a centralized entity, let's say, and the starting point for the whole integration part. So.
Can you show me where we start from? So if we look at such an employee, I guess we have an employee here, for example. Yeah. So Clark.
We go again for
Stephen Clark.
So let's.
So how does the system know that it has to go for PSA now?
Yes. So actually here, if we open a new tab here, we have a new tab here.
It's here.
It's exactly, it's right here, project service automation. So in our employee personal digital file, you can find a new tab where you say, for that employee, I'd like to map it to be used as a bookable resource in PSA wallet. So from this tab here, we should, as soon as this resource is already mapped right now, so we can directly see what bookable resource connected to that employee right here. But the HR manager during creation of the employee file, if it came from a vacancy or applications, then initially we don't have a bookable resource, but once you here in this tab you say yes, I want to map this employee to be a bookable resource, the whole integration world will start working to achieve all of these tasks, taking all the information behind the employee file and they start mapping the needed information to PSA side.
So I start from the employee file and I say, okay, I want to have this in PSA world too. Yeah?
Exactly.
And so let's look over to the PSA world, how this looks there. So I guess we can just click here.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is a bookable resource, Stephen Clark.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
So this information is related to the employee. Yeah. So here we have the connection.
Exactly.
And then from there on, we start mapping all the things.
Yes,
yeah?
that's right. That's right.
I guess something important is about time zones, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, here time zone. So in our wallet, we are mapping two kind of employees. Let's say we have a staff employee and we have a user employee, a user who has a self-service. He can access our solution and he starts to manipulate his data by his own. So in PSA wallet, many types of resource. So we are mapping only user and contact bookable resource types. So for staff employees, we are creating here a bookable resource from a type contact, and for the self-service employees, we are creating a user bookable resource.
Maybe I just explain for the audience which does not know about staff and employee that much.
Yeah.
So in both in the HR world and in the PSA world, we have the opportunity to work either with employees who have self-service access, so who can access the system, and people who don't have access to the system, which are just maintained with the system.
Yeah.
In our HR world, we call the not accessing users staff, and the access system, the employees which have access to a system which can use self-service functions, we call them employees from a license perspective.
Yeah.
In the PSA world, it's a contact for a non-accessible user and a user for people who can access the system.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we see a user.
Yeah, and here we have Clark Steven is a self-service employee, so he can log into our system and he can start manipulating his data. And regarding the time zone, so initial value here is going to be mapped from the time zone is the employee time zone itself, CRM time zone. So we are automatically updating and fetching this information from the user related to that employee, and we are creating the bookable resource with the default. And for stuff, we have a fallback time zone retrieval. So for our employee, which does not have a user, he does not have access to the system, we are taking his supervisor user time zone. If he has no manager or supervisor, then we are taking the HR manager time zone. So yeah, so time zone here. Yeah.
But basically, we can maintain the time zone on the employee file too.
On employee file, once you have here a system user ID, so we assume here that on selecting a system user, you say that the time zone for that employee will be that user time zone, CRM time zone. So inheriting from the user itself. And if we don't have a user for staff employees, then it will take the manager, otherwise it will take the HR manager time zones, and it will be mapped right there.
Okay, so because the time zone is essential to know
exactly
in which hours on a global perspective the person is working.
Yes, for example, the work hours model, the leave management, and so on, all are depending on the time zone where he lives, where he works, where his work has to be assigned to. So yeah.
Okay, so but I understood too, the time zone is important, but we take care in the most automated way that we can provide that this is filled in the right way.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and also here it's still the bookable resource. You can change the time zone. So maybe the user have a time zone, but the time zone for the bookable resource can be flexible to be changed. So his account is somewhere in US, but he as a resource is working in Germany. So it depends. It still have the possibility to do this stuff from bookable resource.
Good.
One more thing here also, which is mapped from the employee file, which is skill levels. Maybe we go during the presentation and we can see how we are utilizing the characteristics which we just created and rating values out of HR model.
Just a second. I guess I would like to just come back to the slides so that we see if we have covered everything. Yeah, the FTE. Yeah, is it mapped to? Yeah, so okay, good. Yeah, so let's keep it like this. So we understand we make this initial synchronization
Yeah.
of the employee, and from there on we now go into the details. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for skill levels.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see what it looks like here.
Yeah. So as maybe we mentioned very briefly at the beginning, that selecting a bookable resource, it's yeah, let's say it's a sophisticated criteria a little bit. So we have to find out which is the most effective resource who can do this job. So on PSA Wallet, maybe it will be an option to select based on the skills. So skills for an employee, skills for a resource where he is already an employee, it's managed on our wallet only, which is HR wallet. And we can see exactly that the employee skill level has a big process in our HR management for approval, for example. So, and also not only a process, it has a development also. So reviews are going to be done, trainings are going to be done. All of this, let me say, closed loop for developing the employee skills are going to be automatically mapped from our HR wallet to project service automation. So
I want to see this. I guess the audience wants to see this too.
Yeah.
So let's look at the employee first. So we have an employee here with skills, yeah?
Yes.
And so we want to see the employee here. So here we see the employee skills. So this is one employee skill level, how it can be maintained within the employee digital personal file, yeah? And we see this employee regarding the C# development skill. This is a professional skill. He should be an expert here, but actually he is just professional. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is his actual grade. For those who are more interested in HR, we can do a self-rating here too. So this is all standard on our end. And as you mentioned, we can here work with the full-blown skill development, with training, organization, and so on in the HR world. For this, we should make a separate session sometime.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so now we want not to maintain this double in the project world. So let's see how this looks like in the project service world. Yeah. So I guess we go here to the resource here. So here we see the bookable resource Stephen Clark, and we see the same skill here. And we see here he's rated only for professional. Because here we don't have this development approach.
Yes.
We don't know what he should be.
Exactly. We have the current rating for this guy for that skill. So which is represented outside as the actual grade, which is done by HR manager or by his supervisor. So we say that Clark Stave in C# development skill is in a professional stage right now. And also we can see here that this skill is in unsaved status, so it's not yet approved in our wallet. So maybe if we go back and we can handle this, go inside record. And then here we can simply say, yeah, this is the current level of that employee right now. So then it will reflect also in the PSA wallet to be as approved. So we approve that Clark now has a professional grade in C# development. And
This is great. So so we have even the synchronization on a status reason level, so that we know exactly where this is right now. So I just refresh the screen here. So we see here it's approved. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so so this is very good. So so you can really focus on the development of the employee and not on the data entry.
Exactly. And as we mentioned again, we cannot update this resource skill from the PSA wallet because it's originally created from the HR wallet. This bookable resource is handled from the HR wallet. So maybe if we go
so it just reflects here and it's all locked.
We cannot maintain this record from here. It has to follow the HR procedure, upgrading or developing this skill to the employee or changing
this is good. Yeah, perfect. You showed me something very nice, how this is then utilized for the for searching a bookable resource in the calendar. Can we have a quick look into this as a side breakout session? Yeah. Where is it?
So maybe we go at schedule board from.
Okay, let me just go to the. Is it here? No.
I guess we just closed it. So
Okay.
maybe from here and we go to schedule board. So for Clark here, I can see his resource code, and I can see now that he is in a professional stage in the C# development, and as well as I can also make a filtration while booking in a project, and I can say, yeah, I need only to showcase the resources which achieve at least intermediate level in C# development. Actually, this characteristic and rating and the resource himself came from our world.
So we are taking care that even with this mapping of the skills and to the resources, that the system still knows that which level is higher than the other.
Yes, exactly.
This is awesome.
Yes, yes, that's right. So
okay, good. Then we thank you very much for this breakout session. So let's go to the next thing. I guess we covered everything for skill levels, right?
Yeah, for skill levels now we are covering up to process. And,
okay. Yeah. So then we go to the employment contracts, right?
Yeah. So from here we are talking also around the employees. So in order to create a bookable resource, it will be used. It will be booked in a project. Then we need to know what is his availability, when exactly he is working, what is his working hours, what is his absence, and so on. And the first point we start here is with the employment contract. So in HR world, in our employment contract, we already have this kind of information.
So let's look at this in the system.
We take a look here.
So here we have the employment contract. So let's start with a summary here. Okay, we see that Stephen Clark, he has a valid contract. It is from June until the end of the year. Yeah. Okay, and we can see here the working hours that he's working Monday to Friday on a 40-hour basis. Yeah, and we see from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. So I know this. You already told it to me, so I just give it to the audience who knows Dynamics HR management already. When you know Dynamics HR management, then you know that you need not to enter this data here ultimately, so you can leave this blank. But when we look at the PSA integration, then we need to know when someone is really starting his work and ending his work because of the availability within the project world.
Yes,
so
exactly.
we have created here some predefined settings so that whenever you create an employment contract within the integration, it pre-fills it with 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes.
And if you want to change it later on, you can do this, but that you have definitely values here, and that you have some, if it's 8 hours, that you have an 8-hour reflected on the PSA world then too. So this is just a side note because you told me upfront.
Exactly. As you just mentioned, everything here is customizable, so you can change it. You can do whatever you want here. So mapping this employment contract is done by a workflow. So maybe who's familiar with Dynamics 365 who can understand that really what's happening underneath here. So as you said, we have a default working hours for each employee, and these default working hours are filled out if we don't have that kind of information during the preparation of the contract itself. And the flexibility of our working hours, it's about day-by-day working hours, and it's going to reflect on the availability of the bookable resource also again.
So let's look at this here. So we, I guess we have it somewhere here. Exactly. So here is Stephen Clark as a bookable resource on the project service side. And we see, for example, here is his availability from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday to Friday.
Exactly.
So it's exactly the same thing like we have it here. And let's see if when it starts. So as you mentioned, it is
in June.
In June. So we see here it starts in June. Perfect. And it will end then in December.
In December.
Okay, so it's really transferring the periods there.
The availability of the employee or the availability of the bookable resource. So then you can understand how many working hours based on the contract at this stage.
And everyone who knows Dynamics 365 PSA knows how cumbersome it is to maintain this here. So it's really great that you now can easily maintain the availability of your employees
Yes.
through the HR management, and do not have to go into these bookable resource calendars, because it's really a little bit pain to do this.
Also, we can go to resource also here from schedule board. We go again to schedule board. Yeah, and so also from here we can see the summary of his availability in hours. So if we have a view based on a day, so we can see exactly what is his availability. So if we go here for a certain project. So as you can see here at 9th of November, at 12th of November, Clark Steve is available for 8 hours as per his employment contract. So it's reflected here. And same will happen for absence management. So I imagine that all the work hour model already represented in the HR wallet, but in a bigger process. And at the end, the project service automation want to understand or want an entry about what is the availability, what is the working hours for this resource to be hooked on a project or a project task. So it's as simple as this. So we have an employment contract in HR wallet, and we are specifying the working hours for that employee, and the corresponding bookable resource is automatically taking how many hours this bookable resource can be booked on a project. Yeah.
Perfect. So it's not only on the resource, but then for the resource availability within the project management.
Yes.
Exactly in the same way.
Yeah. Same also for replacing and terminating employment contracts. So if we are going to replace an employment contract, it will automatically affect the bookable resource. It will update his work time model with the new work time defined in the new contract. And
so for example, if someone goes from part-time to full-time, or in the other direction, it will reflect it directly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. This is exactly how it has to be from my point of view.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess this is it for the employment contracts. Yeah. So let's go to the leave requests. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of the availability of the resource also is the absence. Yeah, we have his work time model based on the contract, but maybe he have a leave request approved on a certain day. So he's not visible to be booked at this certain day on PSA wallet. So we moved also, or we mapped also the leave requests created in our HR wallet for the employees who has bookable resource to the project service automation wallet. So as you know, we have different types of absence here. We have ad hoc absence and planned absence. Maybe you can give us more details about
exactly. So what you call ad hoc absences is things that you cannot plan. So you are sick, you have a work accident or something like this. This is ad hoc. So you are definitely not available any longer. Yeah. So this directly have to affect your availability, not only in HR world, but in the PSA world then too. Yeah. Exactly. So here we do not need for some approvals to wait for some approvals. The other direction is the planned absence. So something can be planned, something is planned, has to go through approval stages, maybe too. Yeah. So here we only leverage everything in detail to the PSA world as soon as we have an approval on that.
Exactly.
So this is our main differentiation. So maybe we have a look into the system. First of all, on this, as we just spoken about it, maybe first of all we go to the settings and look into the absence type settings. So this might make sense. So here we see here the different absence types that we have here in the absence category, and you see some of them are planned absence, some of them are ad hoc absences. And with this you can define how the absence is processed, how it affects not only PSA but the leave calendar and so on.
Exactly.
And which processes are leveraged. But let's look into such an employee file again. I guess this is a good starting point where we can see what leave requests we have here. So here in this case we have a vacation on the 19th of 11, until the 23rd of 11, which is already approved. And we have the sickness on the 2nd of November. Yeah.
Yes.
So and here we see, even if it's draft, it has to be there because
Exactly.
he's sick and he's sick. Yeah. So
Yes,
he's just
so
gone. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And so now we should look at our resource, how it looks like there.
Yeah. So maybe we check first with a sick one, which is on 2nd of November.
So
So we go again to here.
So the 2nd of November. Here we see it, yeah. So it's red, yeah.
So we have this resource not available for a full day. So as he already have a leave request sick from a type ad hoc. So immediately once he saved this request, it's already reflected his availability on PSA wallet as an absence. So he cannot be booked on Friday, 2nd of November, and automatically he book his day based on his contract. So we are overriding the sequence of work models that he is time off at this place right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the other one, if we go back to the personal file, is a vacation.
Yes.
So here we see it's, maybe we go more in detail into this here. So we see this is a 4.5. So it's from this on the last day, it's from the start of the day until the first half of the day, obviously. Yeah. And we see here that it's on Friday it's only half.
Exactly. Yeah? He has to attend, or he has to be in work after the mid of the day. Yeah. So we should find the same information in PSA wallet already.
So here we go to the we see it here. So this is the week that he's off, but here we see it's only until 1 p.m. and after 1 p.m. he comes in. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Looks good to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the idea here, and all these work hours are created on the resource time zone. So I'm back again to why we need time zone, why we switched the time zone from the employee system user to the wallet of PSA, because all these work hours or these time offs are created on the employee time zone. So when he log in, he finds it based on his time zone. When a project manager working on a different country, then he can see his availability based on his time zone. So yeah.
Good. Perfect. So I guess this is very helpful to have really real-time information about the availability of someone.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And for sure, if we update or cancel a leave request, for example, I don't need a vacation in the future, this will be reflected towards PSA.
Exactly. Yeah. As same flexibility as we have, we are affecting the PSA immediately about the updates done.
Perfect. Good. Calendar and holidays, good. So maybe I explain a little bit here for the audience what is a calendar and a holiday. So in our HR world, we have the calendars in the settings. So here in the calendars, we contain holiday calendars for different areas. Yeah. And for example, if we look into the Bavarian calendar, just for, as an example, yeah, we see which holidays are given there for Bavaria. Yeah, here are the holidays, and if we go back and look, for example, into another US holiday calendar, yeah, we see which holidays are given here. Yeah, so for example, Labor Day, Martin Luther King Day, Memorial Day, and so on. Yeah, now this is something that is completely out of the HR standard, so that you contain different calendars, have different entries in these calendars. These can be recurring or only one-time occurrences, and we can assign these calendars to different regions. We can have here escalations even to, so that a specific calendar is, for example, only available for a country, and then we have regional special calendars and so on. So this is to really able to maintain a global working organization and to really maintain their different holiday entitlements for all employees. Yeah? So this is where we are coming from. And in our HR world, we define for a employee, if we look at the employee file again, we define in the HR management details where the primary work location of an employee is. For example, in this case, Stephen Clark is located with his primary work location in Bavaria.
Yeah. So for holidays, so also we are taking care about the holidays. So presence of a bookable resource also depends on the holidays defined for that employee, where he lives, where he works. So as you just mentioned, our holidays management in our wallet is really flexible, and it can handle a lot of scenarios. So our goal is to move also this absence to the bookable resource. So a primary work location where it's specified exactly where this employee is located. And from this area, we are taking all calendars which is defined for that area. And we are also creating a time of records in his bookable resource. Then he is also absent for a certain calendar if we go inside for.
So we see here, for example, let's go for one in the future. We see maybe, let's go for example here, Christmas is a good idea. Yeah. So we have in Bavaria 2 Christmas days which are public holidays. Yeah. So this should be reflected on the employee calendar again.
Yeah, you can check it right now. So we
here.
Open his
exactly here we are.
So we go to December.
Okay.
And we can see here that the holiday is already mapped to that employee, and he is absent for a full day.
Okay, great. So I guess it will work for half day of
that's why
public holiday too.
Exactly, as you mentioned, our calendar manipulation is really dynamic and flexible. If you handled it there as a half day, it will come here and it will deduct a half day, and so on. So moving this valuable information to PSA wallet is really enriching and accelerating the process of booking resources to projects.
Very good.
Yeah,
this is very helpful. Okay, good. Then I guess we have covered everything regarding the calendars and so on. Yeah. Good. Then we go to time entries, which is a completely different topic now. Yeah? So away from the calendars.
We created a bookable resource right now. He has his own availability. Time management is done in our side, and now we talked about this bookable resource, how he is adding a time entries based on a project, based on the tasks from project service automation side. In our HR, also we are handling these time entries. So we smoothly integrate and we flowed our time entries to the project service automation. And what we did here exactly is we are adding the capability to our HR management solution in order to let an employee easily select a project service automation project, and a project service automation task, and so on, all needed information to create a PSA time entry. And then he can enter it from our wallet and easily move to PSA wallet. So
maybe I add a few sentences to this, because I guess this is important.
Yes.
We got the feedback that the time entry functionality of PSA has some gaps or lacks, so which might be improved, and so far this was not taken care of by the PSA module. So we were asked by many customers, can we use the time entry functionality of the Dynamics HR functions to enter the time for the PSA projects? And this is what we accomplished here. So we were listening to the customers, so that's why we now are able to use our time and attendance functionality to enter the work hours for the PSA projects.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. Let's look at the system.
Maybe looking at the system would showcase how, I guess, easier to manipulate your time entries as an employee than being a bookable resource entering a time entries. So we have a timesheets here. Our timesheets is covering a full week. So timesheet is created for an employee, and he's going to add time entries for a full week. So
as we see, we have this possibility to have this in draft. We can submit it and approve it.
Exactly.
This is another possibility that you can use as supervisors and so on too. We see a weekly summary, and now we can go for the time entries directly here.
Yes.
And what you see here is a project.
Yes. So cloud migration is a project created on project service automation, and we can see it here also in HR wallet. So
and maybe here on the top you see this is a specific form. It's a timesheet PSA employee form, and from here you have this solution to add the types to the project.
Exactly. And here we are giving the employee a great flexibility actually here, because Here he is adding his work hours or duration based on the task or project all in a one place, and he can easily submit his all timesheet at once, all time entries underneath, all at once for approval. So
can I add a new one here?
Yeah, we can, sure.
And while I'm doing this, is this something different, or is this the real PSA project that I'm looking here right now?
It's a real time, it's a real PSA project. So this is a cloud migration is a project related on PSA.
Okay, and these are the real PSA project tasks that we see here.
Exactly, and you can see these are the tasks under this project defined there. Yeah.
And the roles are coming from PSA too.
Exactly. So
I don't hold them double, so it's just directly from PSA.
Yes. Okay, we don't have this kind of information here in HR, and we are inheriting it from there. So yeah.
Okay, great. So, okay, here it is. Yeah. So now I can go here and say additional quality assurance, yeah?
Yes.
For example, yeah? And I can say, for example, on Thursday I worked here 1 hour on that, or let's say 30 minutes, yeah? Okay?
Yeah. So once you've saved it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is how easy it is, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So from here, you can enter the 7 days amount or duration for you spent on that task. I don't need to say, I have to create a work time entry on BSA that I worked on defining the project scope on Thursday for 30 minutes, and another one I have to create for Wednesday, and so on. So from here, you can handle the task which you already worked on during a week, and immediately can move the whole timesheet to approval process, and it will reflect on PSA wallet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we see here we can directly enter everything from Monday to Friday. Just a remark here for the audience: if you want to have Sunday and Saturday reflected here too, it's just an easy customizing, because you just have to enable these columns for the grid here too. They are available. It just has to be showcased in the grid.
Exactly.
So this is not rocket science here.
Yes, exactly.
If you don't know how to do it, just ask your success manager. They will help you out there. Okay. Yeah. Great. So now these entries are then reflected on the PSA world?
Yes,
right?
It should be there, but maybe we check the first one and also the second one here, but I guess it's not yet saved. So if we go to the record itself of the time entry here, yeah. So we can see here that this employee worked on defining the project scope for 3 hours on Thursday. So now we are going to log in with the resource himself. We are not using an admin, so maybe we open.
Yeah, okay, I guess it's here.
Yeah, so we can see here.
3 hours. Yeah,
we can see here that his time entry is already created based on our time entry, and it has the same status, and it will be automatically updated once you push the time sheet to approval state.
So yeah, this is awesome. So this integration is updating the time entries here. So as I know it, you told me in advance, this is completely taken care of too, that I'm prevented in doing the time entries on the PSA side.
Yeah. So
if I want to do the time entries on the PSA side, then I can do it, because I can open up the workflow automation there.
Yes.
But by default, we have the idea of doing all the time entries on the HR side, and then just reflecting it in the PSA world.
Yeah. By having the availability of the projects and project tasks in HR wallet, so we are going to be easily maintain his time entries from the HR wallet. So trying to change the status of a time entry entered on BSA from the BSA side is no longer available. So from now on, employees are handling their time entries in our Dynamics HR wallet, and all of the changes he's going to do there, it's going to be moved to to BSA side. So from updating values, fields, submission, approval process, all of these are automatically mapped from HR to BSA wallet.
Okay, great. So not only that we do everything regarding the integration, we already have taken care that no one is acting as a terrorist and trying to enter the time entries in the PSA world too. So here we prevent it. But again, if you are having a situation that you would like to enable it, you can open it up. Just look into the documentation, which workflow or which process you have to change there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good.
Also, we are prohibiting only work time entries, so they have different types of time entries. So the one which is done on HR, which is from the type work time entries. So we are prohibiting this kind to be any more manipulated from PSA side. It has to be entered.
Okay, good, perfect. Okay, so this is great. So I would suggest we just summarize, we sum up, okay, that we can reflect again what are we doing in the integration. So we learned how we integrate between skills and characteristics. So skills and skill grades are maintained in the HR world and are synchronized back over to the PSA world. We create an employee, we have an employee, and then we can decide if this should be a bookable resource. And we then synchronize all the skills that an employee has to the resource skills. So this can be used for the searching of an appropriate resource in the project service automation.
Yes.
Whenever you have an employment contract defined, all the work hours are definitely directly reflected on the work time model of the resource so that you do not have to maintain it twice. In the same way, all the leave requests, all the unavailability, including the holidays, the public holidays out of the calendars, are coming back to the work time model. And the employee time entries can be done with our time entry functionality of the HR world, and everything shows up on the project service automation. Awesome.
So again, I just want to repeat again, all the integration is done in a very dynamic way. So it's really easily customizable. So all the resource sets which you need to tweak, change, or update as per your customization or as your requirements. So you can easily start customizing this integration solution based on your requirements.
So maybe this is a good finishing point. If we look at the integration there, how do a customer access this integration? How difficult is it to get this going?
Okay, actually here for who's familiar with D365, actually it's about having a solution. So as well as our XLM1 is a base HR solution here. So we are installing an extension solution where it do all the job related to integrating the HR wallet to PSA wallet. So we have an instance which has already PSA installed, and we already also have HR installed. All what we need is just installing this extended solution.
Okay.
And all customization, all integration job is done in this solution.
Awesome. So the customer needs to have Dynamics 365 or CDS for apps, how it's called today. And then he has the PSA module enabled there. He has our HR module there. And as soon as he wants to do this integration, he just imports the solution and everything works out of the box.
Out of the box,
Awesome. So this is easy. Good. This is very, very nice. So then let's wrap up. So just to finish it, so if you are interested in learn more about our HR solution and all the things that you can do, please feel free to reach out to our sales team or visit our website, which is dynamicshrmanagement.com. And I thank Tamer for being here today.
Thank you, Björn. Thanks.
And thanks for watching this video, and looking forward to more webcasts with you, and see you soon. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.